But just to continue with what we were discussing yesterday. So you're now ready, you've packed your bags, and you're now about to depart. Like I said yesterday, when you get to the airport, then it is best not to go with an entourage of people, like someone very famous or someone very big going somewhere. So take the bare minimum number of people with you. If your family members, your relatives, very close relatives want to go with you to say farewell to you, then don't forbid them. Don't say, no, this is guna or this is a bid'ah. No, let them come with you. But the point is, we don't have a huge group of people, like an entourage of people taking us there. Now, ihram, which is the very important bit. Your ihram, for sisters, I explained yesterday, and also I said yesterday that for sisters, there's a misconception amongst Asian Muslims that women have to have some sort of a hat. Okay, it's a specially made hat that you will see women wearing. They put it on their head, it covers their hair, it's like a hat. And then on top of that, they wear their regular headscarf. Now that hat thing that the women wear has no basis in the Sharia. Okay, it's not najaiz, it's not unlawful to wear it, but what I'm saying is that it is not a commandment of the deen. It is not from the sunnah that a woman wear such a hat on her head. So it's not a requirement to wear that. For women, their ihram, as far as their attire or clothing goes, is exactly the same as when they're at home. They just wear the normal clothing the normal way. Only difference being that their face, no cloth or material must come into contact with the skin of their face, or with their face. That's the only difference. For men, your ihram, in terms of the clothing that you're going to be wearing, is very strict for men. So you will have 2 sheets. Men will have 2 sheets of cloth. Now, where's the brother who's going to share his belt with us? Leather. Alright. As long as your trousers will not fall off. Okay. But this is what I was referring to yesterday. These are not good. They're standard. These white thick belts come with the your ihram pack. But these are not very good. They're not good at all. So don't wear these. You can take your normal leather belt, wear those. They're very good, very effective, and also there's no problem in terms of the
leather bag to put passports and money. That bag.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So now I'll demonstrate to you, brothers, how to wear your ihram. So now you've got these 2 sheets of cloth. Normally, most of you will have this type of material, the towel-like material, which is soft and comfortable, which is good. This is what I would recommend, and that's the standard you'll get in the shops everywhere, here in Arabia, Asia, everywhere. So that's the cloth. Now 1 sheet of cloth you will use as an izar. Izar means in Arabic the lower garment, tahband, lungi. So what you'll do, and this is the tricky bit, this is the hardest one. Now, what I tend to do is, if you start from here, look, it's best if you have another person helping you with it, like your wife or a companion with you in your safar. I can do it all by myself, but if you're doing it for the first time, then you'll find it quite tricky, and especially if you do not wear a lungi at home. Most Bengalis wear a lungi when they're at home, or when they go to bed, men wear the lungi. But not every Pakistani does that. Pathan doesn't. No. Now, if you watch me, you have to make sure that it has to be loose enough so that you're able to walk, and when you're doing tawaf, then you're able to do your ramal, which is walking briskly at a fast pace. And also when you're doing your sa'i between Safa and Marwa, then you're able to also do your sa'i comfortably. without tripping over. So if you do this, you just spread your legs like this, hold it here so that it's loose enough. Once you've got it there, if you have someone helping you, then get that person to hold your cloth like this, the sheet like this, and then you get your belt. That's it. Now you're safe. So you fasten your belt. Right, in my case, this. Keep this much on top of the belt, and then just fold it like this over the belt, so that it falls over the belt. Alright. Now if you check here, look, there's virtually no way you can, my aura or my satar will be exposed. My legs, thighs, etc. will be exposed. There's almost no way that they'll be exposed because of the way I've wrapped this cloth sheet around me from my waist. Can you see? Now if I were to even walk very fast, I will inshallah not fall over. I will not trip over. And also, even if I were sitting, if I sat like this in Arafat, Muzdalifah, Mina, look, my aura, if you wanted to see through this, then it's very difficult because it's overlapped in such a way. So that's how you do the lower sheet of Ihram. That's it. This is why I suggest that if you don't have a belt like this, most of you will have belts because you wear trousers. So make sure you get a belt like this. This much stitching, there are some stitches, there's some embroidery on this belt here. Okay, this is negligible, meaning that this maaf. Okay, you don't have to worry too much about this much stitching. Okay, this embroidery that this belt has here, that's fine. Don't worry too much about that. That's it. That's called your izar, tehband or lungi. I've also heard from some brothers, they've said that in recent times, some companies have started making ihram cloth sheets where the bottom one is already it's all circular. It's all already, both ends of the sheet are all, it's been weaved in such a way that there are no stitches, so they're all joined. It's like a lungi, but there are no stitches at all. It's been woven in such a clever way that it's all like that. If that is the case, then you can also wear that. But if the ihram has been, both ends of the ihram cloth or sheet have been stitched together, then that is najaiz. You're not allowed in a state of ihram to wear anything with stitches on. For men, remember, just for men. Also, it is disliked for you to tie a knot in your ihram. So if you happen to find that type of ihram sheet which has both its ends woven together, not stitched, woven together, even then you will need to use a belt. Because if you don't use a belt and you try to tie a knot like we do with our lungi, then that is disliked in the state of ihram to tie a knot. It's not a guna, it will not invalidate your ihram, or it will not necessitate a penalty in your ihram, but it is disliked to have any knots in your cloth of ihram, for men only. So that's your izar. And then there's this second sheet, in Arabic is called rida. Rida in Urdu means chadar. Okay, this is your chadar. You will wear it like this, like you do with a normal chadar. Okay, this is how you will keep it. Can you see? And these are normally made, the size of these are perfect. This is what you need. It's this size. Now if you wear your chadar or your rida, the upper sheet of ihram cloth in this manner, then there's no way people can see your body. Your belly, your back, your shoulders, etc. This is it. And also it will make you feel very comfortable. That even when it's so hot, it will either prevent the heat from going into your body because of the reflective color of this, and also the comfortable material that this is made of. And also during the nights, it will also keep you quite warm if it gets chilly, like in Muzdalifah it does. Okay. You may have seen in photos of people in Hajj, if you've seen photos or images or on your computer or anywhere, then you will almost always, you will see that men are walking around like this. Okay? You will always see. Even on, there's no image with this one, but in ihram packs, you will see that their right shoulder and even the chest, the right chest is exposed. Now that is not good, that is wrong. This is called iztiba'. Iztiba' is only to be done when a person is doing, a man is doing tawaf. He is doing tawaf, and that tawaf is to be followed by a sa'i between Safa and Marwa. You have to do iztiba', which means that you wear the chadar or the rida, upper sheet of ihram cloth, in such a way that both ends of your cloth go over your right shoulder, and your left shoulder and your right shoulder is left exposed, open. That is gone, but not the chest. You don't have to be showing your chest. Rather, you should not be doing that. Your chest is not to be exposed. That is not mentioned in the books, and that is not the sunnah. Your chest, both your chests have to be covered. Only your right shoulder is to be left exposed in this way, and which is called iztiba'. And iztiba' is to be only done during the tawaf, after which you are going to be doing sa'i between Safa and Marwa. You do iztiba' then. As soon as you've completed your tawaf, such a tawaf, be that tawaf for your umrah, or be it for Hajj. As soon as you've completed your tawaf, and before you pray your 2 rakat wajib salatul tawaf, make sure you then wear your chadar or the upper sheet properly. Okay, like you would do a normal chadar, like this. And then pray your 2 rakat of salat, and then do your sa'i between Safa and Marwa, etc. Go about whatever you want to do in that manner. But you may have seen, and you will see once you're in Hajj, you will see most men are just walking around. You'll see men in their tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands walking around like this in a state of in a perpetual state of iztiba'. Like they're permanently exposing the right shoulder and even exposing the right chest. Okay? And that is not right. That's wrong. So make sure you do not do that. And that's it. So this is your ihram. Very straightforward, simple. And inshallah you'll get used to it. If you think it's difficult, then have a few goes at home. And also walk around at home for a day or two in a state with your ihram on. And then you get used to it. But don't make the intention of ihram, because as soon as you make the intention, you've entered the ihram for your hajj, which is valid. Even if someone were to do it now, or someone did it after Ramadan, even in a joking way, jokingly, they've entered the state of ihram, and they cannot get out of it unless they do an umrah. So don't make the intention. Alright, so I'll take my ihram off.
Sorry, just one question.
Yeah.
The istibah, what you said.
Yeah.
So, when you're doing tawaf, can you have it on fully if you wanted to?
If you have your...
Can you have it like covered fully if you wanted to, the tawaf?
When you're doing...
Tawaf.
If you're doing a tawaf, if you are doing a tawaf after which there is to be a sa'i between Safa and Marwa, which means you're either doing an umrah, tawaf of your umrah, or you're doing the tawaf of your hajj. Okay? Then in that case you have to do the iztiba'. You have to wear your upper sheet of the ihram cloth in such a way that both the ends are on your left shoulder, they overlap on your left shoulder and your right shoulder, just the shoulder is exposed open. Apart from that, you do not do iztiba' at all, ever. Okay? So if you're doing nafil tawaf afterwards, either before your hajj days or after your hajj, if you do nafil tawafs and you happen to be wearing these 2 sheets of cloth, then there's no iztiba'. Because in a nafil tawaf, it's just the 7 circuits around the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, followed by 2 rakat of salat. That's your nafil tawaf done. Okay? Now, when you're setting off from home, when do you enter the state of ihram? Now this is quite tricky, a lot of people get confused. So listen to this carefully. If you have questions, ask me now. There is that's it, yes. There is what is called the miqat. Most of you brothers and sisters would have heard the word, and you will also know what miqat means. Miqat is a zone. It's a zone on the map of Saudi Arabia today around Makkah Mukarramah. It's a zone around the city of Makkah Mukarramah, but it varies. The distance from Makkah Mukarramah to the edge of the miqat varies from direction to direction. you are not allowed to enter the miqat for an afaqi. In simple English, for a foreigner, a person who is not a local of the haram area or the miqat or the hill area. I'll make it more simpler for you. If you now look at the sheet that I've given you, which is now it's at the bottom. Get the bottom two out of the pile. The bottom two in the pile. I should have numbered these. I could have just referred to the numbers. Anyway, now if you look here, one of them says mawaqit. The one that says at the top mawaqit, have you found it? That's the one I'm referring to. The one that says mawaqit. Mawaqit is the plural of miqat. Miqat is singular and mawaqit means miqats. This map is showing you the miqats from all four directions or circular directions from Makkah Mukarramah. Right? You'll have to all share it. Just, can you see it? It's important that you see this. So just get closer to each other for now, and then you can go back to your places. Now, if you look here, you can see in the circle, in the center, Makkah. Okay, so that's the city of Makkah Mukarramah. This was actually in color. I printed it in black and white, but the original is in color. And then can you see Makkah Mukarramah is the black cube, the black box. And then outside that, there's a larger dark box. Okay? That dark box, that area there, the darker area, which is outside beyond Makkah Mukarramah, is called the Haram. Haram means the sacred precincts, or the sacred zone, the sacred. Haram means sacred. Okay? Haram also means sacred. So when we say Al-Masjid Al-Haram, it means the sacred masjid, Muqaddas masjid. Haram also means the opposite to this haram. It also means, haram means what we know as haram, like pig is haram, swine is haram, alcohol is haram, forbidden, unlawful. So haram is a word in Arabic, it's one of those words in Arabic which has the complete opposite meanings. It has both meanings, complete opposite meanings. So haram is muqaddas, holy, sacred, and the word haram also means haram, unlawful, najaiz. So this is the haram. Makkah Mukarramah, outside Makkah Mukarramah there's a zone which is known as the haram. And then beyond the haram zone, you've got the bigger zone, the larger zone that you can see. That is the miqat zone, the lighter grey. In our picture image here, the light grey area is called the miqat. Now that's the boundary of miqat, depending on which direction you're coming from. Your miqat, these are the points where like a port of miqat is. So normally these points, like at the top you can see Dhul Hulayfa. People who are traveling traveling from the direction of Medina Munawwara to Makkah Mukarramah will stop at this point called Dhul Hulayfa. And they will enter the state of Ihram, make the intention of Ihram. For men, they will wear the Ihram sheets, 2 sheets. Women will enter the state of Ihram, make the intention, they'll pray 2 rakat, make the intention with the talbiyah, while saying the talbiyah. And then they will pass this zone, this borderline. And then you've now entered the miqat zone, which is a sacred zone. And then when you go even further, then you will enter the haram zone. The haram zone is the most sacred precinct or area, and then within the haram is the most sacred place on Allah's earth, which is Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the sacred masjid, the holy masjid. If someone is coming from the Jeddah direction, then the miqat is there. So if you can see that the miqat is not equal, the distance of the miqat border from Makkah Mukarramah is not the same in all directions. Now why is this? This is how the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as passed on by the Sahaba to us, had determined the miqat to be. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had specified that these are the miqat boundaries, zones. Now when you will be traveling on the aeroplane, with the exception of this paisa, the rest of you will be going first to Makkah Mukarramah. Now your flight will take off either from Manchester or London or Birmingham or wherever, whichever airport you're departing from in this country, and your aeroplane will land in a city called Jeddah, which is Saudi Arabia's industrial city. It's a mega city, really, really big. Jeddah. Now the city of Jeddah, as you can see from the image here, the plan here, map here, Jeddah falls just within the miqat area, from that direction. It's within the miqat area. So, which means you must enter your state of ihram with the intention of ihram. Entering the state of ihram does not just mean wearing the ihram clothing, 2 sheets of ihram, and for women to keep the cloth off their faces. It does not merely mean that. You must have the intention of ihram. By making the intention of ihram, you've now entered physically as well as mentally your ihram. So you have to have the physical condition of ihram. Men and women have different physical conditions of ihram, meaning the clothing. And you have to also have the mental state of ihram. Like in law you will say actus reus and mens rea. Both have to be present there. Okay? So you have to have both. Now when should you be entering your ihram? What you can do is, and this is the most preferable and rewardable inshallah, because your Hajj journey is a journey of junoon, of ishq. You're the ashiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In everything that you will be doing in your Hajj is an expression of your utter, extreme ishq and love and fervor for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that you'll be doing in Hajj, tawaf, sa'i between Safa and Marwa, going to Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafat, Muzdalifah, doing the nahar, sacrificing on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, or thereafter, halq or taqsir, shaving the head or cutting the hair. Everything that you are going to be doing in your Hajj is an expression of your ishq for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are the pagal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are the majnoon of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, it is best that you enter the state of ihram from home. However, there are some complications or risks in doing so. The risk being that if you put on your ihram clothing, the attire for ihram, and then you pray the 2 rakat of ihram salat, 2 rakat nafil salat for ihram, you said the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, labbaik bil umrati labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. You've made the intention of ihram for umrah in all of your cases. Except that Baisab who is going to Medina Munawwara, he will not enter his ihram on the plane, nor in Medina when he is traveling by road from Medina Munawwara to Makkah Mukarramah later, after spending a few days or several days in Medina, then he will enter his ihram. The coach will stop, or his vehicle will stop at Dhul Hulayfa, and there's a huge masjid there. Very beautiful masjid with all the facilities that the Hujjaj need, like showers, toilets, everything. They're very nice, beautiful, everything's there. And then he will enter his state of ihram. But for the rest of us here, you will be passing over the miqat zone. Therefore you need to be in a state of ihram before you enter the miqat zone. Otherwise you have violated the sanctity of the miqat, for which you have to give a dam, a penalty of a sacrifice, okay, of an animal. Unless you exit the miqat and re-enter it. If you can do that, then the penalty of a dam means sacrificing of an animal as a penalty, okay, like as a fine, that will be forgiven, okay, that you no longer have to do that. If you exit the miqat and come back in again in a state of ihram, but that will not be possible for most of you. What you can do is you can wear your ihram clothing. You can wear your ihram clothing for men and women, whatever you have to wear, from home, and also footgear for men. Your footgear has got to be such that this bone here, this protruding bone, can you see? Okay, this bone here, the one that is protruding, ji, ubri hui haddi. Which in full haddi je. that this bone for men has got to be left open with your footgear, which means you cannot wear shoes. Even if your shoes are not stitched or anything, you're not allowed to wear those shoes. Generally, Hujjaj will be wearing chappal, sandals or slippers which have the V-shaped belt. Okay? Flip-flops or flip-flop type, say more expensive. Flip-flops generally are very cheap. But if you want to go for something more comfortable, better quality, instead of going for the £1.50 or £2 Tesco brand, then you can do so. But the condition is that this protruding bone, which is at the center, top of your foot, has got to be left open, exposed. So if you wear the V-shaped belt with the V-shaped strap, sandals or flip-flops, that is fine. If your footgear has some stitches, okay, that is also negligible. That is, you don't have to be too fussy about that. That's what you have to do for men in terms of your footgear. You can wear all of this at home and you go to the airport. If you want, you can pray the 2 rakat of Ihram Salat, the 2 rakat of Salat for entering your state of Ihram at the airport. If you're going to Heathrow Airport, then they have Salat facilities, at Wudu and Salat Namaz facilities for men and women at Heathrow Airport, at the terminal at which your flight will be departing from. There are the facilities, but you have to make sure that you get there in good time to be able to do all of this and to check in through customs, etc. Because nowadays you have to be there very early nowadays because of all sorts of complexities and problems. So you can do it there. You can pray your 2 rakat of Salat of Ihram at the airport, and then you can say that after you've said the Salam. The 2 rakat of Ihram Salat is, alright, before I say that, so you can do it either at the airport, or you can leave it till you get on the plane and you've travelled on the plane, and the plane, you have another 1.5, I would say, just to be on the safe side, 1.5 to 2 hours left before you land at Jeddah. Okay? But what tends to happen during the Hajj season is, with no matter which airlines you're traveling with, the captain or one of the crew members will announce on the tannoy system, sound system on the plane, that we are half an hour or this many minutes away from the miqat. So those who are going for Hajj Umrah, please enter your state of Ihram. Even I think maybe British Airways will do the same. I think, but I've always traveled with Muslim Airlines for Hajj Umrah, and they always make this announcement. Okay, so you will know, inshallah. But just to be on the safe side, if you choose to do this, to enter your state of Ihram whilst on the plane in the air, then make sure you do it in good time. So 1.5 to 2 hours before you're landing at Jeddah. You can do it then. So it's your choice. The other thing that you could do is that this is also possible, okay? You could wear your Ihram clothing, the 2 sheets and the sandals, or the women in their Ihram. You can also pray your 2 rakat of Ihram Salat either at home or at the airport in England, but don't say the talbiyah and don't make the intention. Just leave that until you're on the aeroplane, and before the miqat you can then say the talbiyah, for which you do not need to do wudu. And once you're saying the talbiyah, and when you say labbaik bil umrati labbaik, as you say labbaik bil umrati, ya Allah मैं हाजिर हूँ umrah के साथ हाजिर हूँ, as you say that, you make the intention in your mind, you think in your mind, I'm entering my state of ihram for umrah. As soon as you've said that with your zuban, with your tongue, and you've thought of it in your mind, you've intended it in your mind, that's it, you've now entered the state of pilgrim sanctity of ihram. That's it. So that's another option that you have of doing this. You can wear your ihram, just hold on. You can wear your ihram at home. I'll repeat this. Wear your ihram at home. You can even pray your 2 rakat of ihram salat at home with the intention of ihram for umrah. Intention of ihram for umrah. Okay, be careful that you do not make the intention of Hajj. Because you're not going for Hajj yet. You're going for Umrah. You're going for Umrah now. I will explain the three types of Hajj. All of you will be going for Umrah. Your intention first is for Umrah, not for Hajj. Although Hajj is the ultimate maqsood. Hajj is your ultimate goal. Umrah is a zimanichis. Okay? Umrah is not the main goal of your safar to the Haramain. But because this ihram is the first ibadah that you're going to be accomplishing is going to be just Umrah. Therefore, when you say the talbiyah, make sure you make the intention whilst you say the talbiyah for the first time. You make sure you say the talbiyah with the intention of Umrah. Don't make the intention of Hajj. If you do so, then that's it. You will have to perform the Hajj in the state of Ihram without coming out of that Ihram before the end of your completion of your Hajj. So you do that at home. You've worn the Ihram. You put on your clothing, your respective clothing, attire for Ihram at home. You prayed your 2 rakat of Ihram Salat at home. It is desirable, preferable, mustahab that you pray the first rakat with Surah Al-Fatiha, Alhamdu Sharif, followed by Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun, Surah Al-Kafirun, Kafirin. Second rakat, Alhamdu, and Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Surah Al-Ikhlas. That is preferable. That's good, best, advisable to do that. Also for men, make sure as soon as you've said the salam of your Ihram Salat, and you say the talbiyah now, 3 times. The first talbiyah as you say, Labbaik, Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik bil Umrati Labbaik. As you say Labbaik bil Umrati Labbaik, and you make the intention of Umrah, straight away, or before that, your topi, qalansua or your cap should come off your head. At no point in a state of Ihram can a man cover his face or his head. You cannot cover your head or your face even when you're sleeping. You're allowed to sleep in a sleeping bag. You're allowed to use a quilt or a duvet or a blanket, both men and women. But you're not allowed to cover your face or your head with the duvet or the blanket for men. Okay? Women cannot cover their face. So best thing to do is as soon as you've said the salam, make sure you take your topi off. In previous years, what I've said to brothers is because as insan we're forgetful. We will forget. And plus at that time you will be quite anxious and nervous and unsure, panicking. Best thing to do is don't even wear your topi for those 2 rakat of salat. If you think you may forget, no, that's the same thing. You're not allowed to. The topi is not the issue. The issue is you must not cover your head in a state of ihram. If you feel comfortable, confident that you will not forget after you said the salam to take your topi off from your head, then by all means keep your topi on your head and pray your 2 rakat of Ihram Salat for Umrah. But if you feel that there's a risk that I may forget and my topi will remain on my head, then just don't wear it at all. Which I think I did it, sometimes I've done it in this way. I did not wear the topi at all when I prayed those 2 rakat. So that's my advice to you. It's up to you how confident you feel about yourself and your ability to remember. Okay. Now, so you pray your 2 rakat of salat at home, but don't say the talbiyah or make the intention yet. You go to the airport, you check in as normal, you get onto the plane. Whilst the plane is traveling and you're about 1.5 hours to 2 hours to Jeddah, then while seated in your seat, even if you're not in a state of wuzu, you don't need wuzu to say the talbiyah or to make the intention or to enter the state of ihram. You say the talbiyah, and while saying the talbiyah, you make the intention of entering the state of ihram for umrah. As soon as you've done that, and you say that it's best to say the talbiyah 3 times. Okay? Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik bil umrati labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. That's it. You went and you repeat that 3 times. After that, now your zikr is the talbiyah. That's it. You just do talbiyah like a pagal majnoon. You just men loudly, audibly, but don't disturb people on the plane. People may be wanting to sleep, or people would not want to hear your voice. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Better late than never. Okay. And women should also keep saying the talbiyah, but that they must make sure that their voice is not heard by ghair mahram men. Okay? The voice does not reach the ears of strangers. Okay? The ghair mahram or na mahram men. And maharim I explained the other day. Okay? So women must make sure throughout their Hajj, their voice is not heard, the talbiyah is not heard by ghair mahram men. The husband can hear their voices, her father, son, nephew, etc. They can hear her voice, that's fine. But other men should not be hearing her voice. So you say the talbiyah. So that's another method of doing it. Okay? So these are the different options that you have, all of you, of entering your state of ihram. What was your question, sorry?
You're on the plane. On the plane, there's no facility to do namaz, is there?
Yes.
Alright, on the plane, depending on which airlines you're traveling with. If you are traveling with Saudi Airlines, then they have a small, it's not a room, but they have a curtained area towards the back normally, which is like a room, and also they use it for salat. It's carpeted so that you can pray your salat, your namaz there. Saudi Airlines has it. It's already equipped for Hujjaj and also for Mu'tamirun, people who are going for Umrah throughout the year. So they're equipped. Other airlines may not. Most probably don't have it. I've traveled on airlines which didn't have any facilities. But if you wanted to pray, and if you ask the cabin crew, when they're not busy and when they don't need the space. Sometimes they're serving food, they're serving snacks and drinks, or the seatbelt sign is on that you must fasten your seatbelt because of the position of the aircraft. Don't then fight with them that, oh, I'm running out of time, I need to pray, I'm going to pray. No, don't do that, that's bad, don't do that. Okay? Just say your talbiyah, make the intention while seated in your seat. Doing wudu on the plane. If you want to do wudu on the plane, then always make sure that you do the wudu in such a way, you use the bare minimum water possible because it's so limited. The tank of water on the aeroplane is very limited. Now if everyone, and they're all Hujjaj on the aeroplane, 200 or 150, 250, or if it's a double-decker Boeing, then there's more people on it. If everyone decides to do wudu with the water which is limited, a small tank of water to last them the 5-6 hours to Jeddah, if they do wudu, then they will all die on the plane because there will be no water to drink. So you have to be reasonable. Use your aql. If you do wudu on the plane, then make sure when you come out of the toilet of the aeroplane, you leave the toilet in such a way that the next person who goes in has no clue that you've done wudu in there. Make sure you do that. Ustadji Allama Mufti Muhammad Taqi Usmani Sahib Damat Barakatuh once said in a lesson, I forgot what it was, but in explaining a hadith, he mentioned that, he said that I was once traveling on an aeroplane, and he travels quite a lot throughout the year. He's traveling all over the world all the time. Mufti Muhammad Taqi Usmani Sahib Damat Barakatuhum. So he said that I was once traveling on a plane, going somewhere, and there was a big buzurg from Karachi sitting next to me. Another big buzurg, Allah Wala. So he was complaining that these people on the plane, the cabin crew, they don't let you do wuzu in the toilets. And he was grumpy about it. So our Ustadji said that he went and he did his wuzu. And then after he returned, I got up and I went into the toilet. And he said, MashaAllah, I saw that a hurricane had taken place. As if a hurricane had taken place, a storm had taken place in the toilet. Water was everywhere, on the walls, on the mirror, on the floor, everywhere. The buzurg, Hazrat had done his wuzu in there and he left the state of the toilet in that state. So if you leave the toilet in that state, then that gives a very bad impression of Islam and the Muslims, especially if there are non-Muslims on the plane. If you start fighting with the cabin crew and you stay Allahu Akbar in the aisle where people have to walk, and you, mashallah, buzurg, Allah Wala, are praying there, now what impression will that give even to the Muslims? That does not give you a good impression of Islam and the Muslims. So you have to use your aql, okay? Use your brain that Allah Ta'ala, intellect that Allah has blessed us with, and you have to make a good judgment of the situation. If the cabin crew are saying you can't pray, then don't get up to pray your 2 rakat of salat there, okay? So those are the options as far as your ihram is concerned. Any questions quickly?
Yeah,
No.
and also, as for the stitching, is it makruh, is it, or is it just negligible, you know, when it's,
Which-
you know, for the shoes and the belts?
It is negligible. If it's like the stitching that I've showed you, and that's fine. Don't worry about it, because it is very difficult to find those things without stitches. Okay, it's quite difficult.
One bag with money, they got few stitches.
Yeah. If you're wearing the pouches on your waist, those pouches have stitches on them. That's fine. Don't worry about those. And you will have. Yes, it is advisable that you have a pouch, a waist pouch, or you can have a small bag that will hang from your neck, okay, over your shoulders, from your neck, in which you can keep your papers, but don't keep your passport with you whilst you're doing your Hajj. You will not be able to keep your passport anyway, because your passport will be taken from you as soon as you land in Jeddah, and it will be taken by the Saudi authorities, Hajj authorities, and the next you will see your passport is before you get onto the plane again. That's when they will give you your passport, when you reach the airport again, on your way back. Apart from that, you will have no sight of your passport. Your passports will be taken from you by the Saudis. But you will have a pouch, and in that pouch you should keep your money, your mobile phone, etc. You are also allowed to wear your wristwatches. You are allowed to wear your wristwatches because the books of fiqh mention rings on your fingers, that they're allowed. And based on that, on that analogy, we say that you can wear your wristwatches. That is not forbidden in a state of ihram. Now, there are 3 types of Hajj. One type of Hajj, yeah, just
Laying down.
So just on the wristwatch.
yeah.
On the wristwatch, if you put it on before you put your ihram on, is that right? Because you can't put it on after.
Make a pillow for him. Take this one. Just make a pillow for him. Yeah, what's your question?
Sorry, the watch, does that mean that when you put it on before you put your ihram on, because you can't put it on after?
Oh no, you can put it on at any time. At any time. And all right. There are so many things that we just don't have time. There are so many things that there's just not time for us to go. Otherwise, we'll be sitting here for 1 month and your Hajj will be missed. Before you enter your state of ihram, it is advisable, mustahab, to have a shower. Have a shower before you enter your state of ihram. Before you have your shower, it is also mustahab, desirable, preferable, rewardable, to do all those things which you will be forbidden from doing after you've entered your state of ihram. So, cutting of nails, cutting of any hair, moustache, shaving of the armpits, removing hairs from the private parts, etc. All of those things, to do those things after you've entered husband and wife relationships. These are all haram in a state of ihram. So, it is mustahab, desirable, rewardable, that you do all those things before you enter a state of ihram, the state of ihram. Okay? And then to have a shower. Have a quick shower or have a bath, and then you will enter your state of ihram, either here or whenever you will enter your state of ihram. Before you enter your state of ihram, you can also use perfume, itar, perfume on your clothing. Okay, before you enter your state of ihram. You will not be able to do this after you've entered your state of ihram. Okay, so you can do that before you've entered your state of ihram, if you wanted to do that. After you've entered your state of ihram, inshallah we'll look at the things that you're not then allowed to do. Hajj is of 3 types. The best type of Hajj is Hajj Qiran. Second best is Hajj Tamattu'. The third is Hajj Ifrad. Hajj Qiran is that Hajj, and this is the Hajj that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did himself, and he did Hajj just once in his lifetime. This is the Hajj he did, according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. Therefore, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi says Hajj Qiran is the best and most rewardable form of Hajj, which is you will enter your ihram for Umrah and Hajj in one go together. Okay? You will enter your ihram for Umrah and for your Hajj. When you reach Makkah Mukarramah, you will perform your Umrah. After performing your Umrah, you will remain. Umrah is just 4 things. 2 of them are fard and 2 of them are wajib. The 4 things are, you will ihram. And to enter the state of ihram with intention. That's one. That's the fard of Umrah. Second is to do tawaf. of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 7 circuits of the house of Allah ta'ala. The third is to do sa'i between Safa and Marwa 7 times. And the fourth essential amal, act of Umrah, is to either do halq, shaving of the head in the case of men. Women are forbidden at all times in their lives to shave their heads unless there's a medical reason for doing so. For men to shave the head, or to do taqsir or qasr, which means to shorten the hair, to trim the hair, both for men and for women. Taqsir. Now, he who is doing Hajj Qiran will do the first 3 things in his or her Umrah, which is, he or she will enter the state of Ihram for Hajj and Umrah. He or she will do secondly do the tawaf of the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he or she, after praying the 2 rakat of tawaf, will do the sa'i between Safa and Marwa. After which, the 4th essential part of Umrah, which completes the Umrah, is to either shave the head in the case of men, or to shorten the hair in the case of men and women. That this Haji will not do, because he or she has to remain in a state of Ihram until he or she has completed his Hajj, and then after the Hajj they will do the shaving of the head or cutting of the hair, and then exit Ihram then, which makes it quite difficult compared with the other 2 types of Hajj. Therefore the reward is also greatest for doing this. This is preferable for those people, recommendable for those people whose flight happens to be very close to the days of Hajj. If your arrival in Makkah Mukarramah is close to the days of Hajj, very near to the days of Hajj, then make the intention of Hajj Qiran. When we went for Hajj 2 years ago, everyone, with the exception of a few individuals in our group of 100 and something people that were in our group, everyone made the intention of Hajj Tamattu', the second type of Hajj, which is you enter the state of Ihram for Umrah only. You will get, when you reach Makkah Mukarramah, you will perform your Umrah. You will do the 4 things that you have to do in your Umrah for your Umrah to be an Umrah, which is Ihram, Tawaf, Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and shaving of the hair for men, or cutting of the hair for men and women. And that's it. You take your Ihram off, you become halal. You become like the people of Makkah, like ordinary people in Makkah Mukarramah. You go about like normal people. Okay? And then on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the first day of Hajj, you will then put on a new Ihram, and this time this Ihram is for Hajj. That's called Hajj Tamattu', which all of you here will probably be doing, or most of you will be doing. I don't know who's doing what, but generally people going from this country or from abroad generally do Hajj Tamattu', the second best type of Hajj. In our case, everyone in our group were doing Hajj Tamattu'. They made the intention of Hajj Tamattu'. They entered the Ihram for Umrah only. But because of my circumstances, because I had my parents with me, my dad is, as I've explained, is very old, alhamdulillah, and is also very ill, and was ill at that time as well. So because of my dad's condition, after the flight, he became very weak. My mom was also quite weak, but not as much as my dad. So as soon as we reached Makkah Mukarramah, especially the youth, Nojawan, they had the energy to go and do the Umrah straight away. They went and they did the Umrah straight away, more or less, or in the afternoon. We reached, I've forgotten what time we reached the hotel, and then after a while they all just popped out, went to the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and they did the Umrah. Yeah, we reached the hotel during the day, and during the night a large group from our group went with the tour operators, and they took everyone and they did the Umrah during the night. I didn't do that because you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it then and there. If you're exhausted, and especially if you have women, elderly people and children with you, then you have to be considerate of them. Just because you have the energy, the stamina, does not mean that you have to also force them, torture them to go with you. Because an Umrah during the Hajj season is very, very hard. Okay, compared with non-Hajj season, it's very difficult. Because there will be millions of people all at the same time in Makkah Mukarramah. Now, What we did was, I didn't do it that day. We stayed in a state of ihram. The next day again, I didn't do it because I didn't think they had recovered from the ordeal of not the flight, but the 20-something hours that we were at Jeddah airport. 20-something hours lying in Jeddah airport. So be prepared for this. Okay. I think then another day passed. I still thought they weren't quite ready for it. So in the end, we did it very close to the days of Hajj. But by the time it occurred to me to change my intention to Hajj Qiran, it was too late because I had already done certain things. Okay. But we could have changed our intention and we could have done Hajj Qiran then, because we had lost so many days just waiting, and we delayed it and then we performed our Umrah very close to the day. There was just one day left before Hajj when we completed our Umrah eventually. So Hajj Tamattu' is the second best type of Hajj, which most people who are going from abroad prefer to do because it's easier for you. You just go there to Makkah Mukarramah, perform your Umrah. As soon as you performed your Umrah, you exit your state of Ihram, and then you become halal. You live in Makkah Mukarramah like everybody else. Husband and wife can just live like husband and wife as they do at home without any restrictions at all. You can use perfume, attar. You can cut your hair, cut your nail, etc. So all the prohibitions of Ihram would be lifted, which we will look at. So you go. Let's look at the prohibitions of Ihram. Firstly, of course, in a state of Ihram, every form of sexual activity is haram. Okay? Any form, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so fusuq, every form of transgression, disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forbidden in a state of Ihram. Hunting of animals, or helping and guiding, assisting a hunter, is also forbidden in a state of Ihram. To use scent, perfumed oil, or anything that has a fragrance is also forbidden in a state of Ihram, whether on the body or on your clothes or even in your food and drink. To put any scent in your food or drink is also forbidden in a state of Ihram. To shave your hair or clip your hair, cut your nails, or to remove anything from your body that is part of your body is also forbidden in a state of Ihram. For men to wear stitched clothing is also forbidden in a state of Ihram. For men to wear any footwear, footgear, with the central bone of the central bone of the upper part of your foot, of your feet, the protruding bone covered, that is also forbidden in a state of Ihram. Men must not cover their heads and their faces in a state of Ihram. Even when they go to sleep in a sleeping bag or they use a duvet or a blanket, they must not cover their face or their head. Okay? And women must not cover their face in a state of Ihram. And obviously do not cause any harm, do not be a means of inconvenience or harm to any person in a state of Ihram as well as outside the state of Ihram, always. Things that you're allowed to do in a state of Ihram. You're allowed to use an umbrella or any object to give yourself some shade, saya, in a state of Ihram. So if you use an umbrella in a state of Ihram, that is permissible, that's allowed, that's fine, no problem at all. But you can't, like the brother was saying, put a rumal on your head. If you put a rumal on your head, then you violated.
This the sheet that was.
Oh, even that. He's saying if you used your upper sheet of your ihram to cover your head with, now that is also forbidden in a state of ihram. You're allowed to wear a rings on your finger, wristwatches, glasses, etc. They're all allowed. Or a belt or a girdle to put your documents, money, etc. Pouches on your waist. These are all allowed in a state of ihram. You're allowed to take your clothes off, ihram clothing off, either to wash it or to have a shower. If the need so arises for you to take a shower in a state of ihram, then you're allowed to take your clothing off, your ihram sheets or your clothes off. Okay, that is allowed, or even to change them to another set of ihram clothing, sheets or clothes. That is allowed in a state of ihram. However, if you must have a shower in a state of ihram, then you must make sure that no hair from your body is uprooted or pulled out when you are having a shower, taking a shower. You must make sure you do not use soap, shampoo, etc., shower gel, etc., in a state of ihram. When you're brushing your teeth, you must make sure that you do not use to brush anything except a miswak. You do not use anything to brush your teeth with which has a fragrance, any smell. So most toothpastes will have a fragrance. Fluoride, etc., is used in toothpastes. So in a state of ihram, do not use any toothpaste at all. Just use a miswak, siwak, and alhamdulillah, you'll find plenty of very, very fresh, nice smelling miswaks in Saudi Arabia for a riyal, 2 riyals, etc. Just use miswak, which is sunnah. So it's a very stressed sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ throughout your Hajj. So use a miswak. Whilst you're having a shower, if any hair of your body fall off by themselves without you having to pull them, they just fall off, then that is negligible. You will not be held accountable for that. If they just fall off automatically, then that's not your fault whilst you're taking a shower. Or even when you're doing wudu, and you'll be doing wudu repeatedly throughout the day and night. So that's basically, those are the main do's and don'ts in a state of ihram. Now after you've put on the ihram, you should now, and you've prayed the 2 rakat of ihram salat, and you've said the talbiyah with the intention of entering ihram for umrah, you have now become a muhrim. You have now become a muhrim bil umrah. You're a muhrim, a person in ihram for umrah. Now your dhikr is the talbiyah. This is the most virtuous, most rewardable form of dhikr for you is the talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Whenever you say it, try and say it 3 times. Okay, it's desirable that you say it 3 times whenever you say it. And you should keep saying it. When you meet people, you should be saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik. When you're sitting, you sit down, you say the talbiyah. When you're getting up, you say the talbiyah. After salat, you say the salam, you say the talbiyah. You're walking. During the mornings, you wake up, you're going to bed, you just keep saying the talbiyah. This is your zikr. You're saying the talbiyah. You are the ashiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're the majnoon of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you just keep saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. And keep your mind focused on the meaning as you say it. The meanings are in these books. Learn the meanings of it so that you have a fair idea as to what it means. Labbaik O Allah, I am present, I am present. Okay? You now arrive in Makkah Mukarramah. When you arrive in Makkah Mukarramah, as I've said, you do not necessarily have to go and do your umrah on that day at that time. Just take your time. When you have regained, now when you land in Jeddah airport, be prepared to be delayed, to be kept at the airport with the thousands of other Hujjaj who are arriving in. It's a very, very busy airport during the Hajj season. Throughout the year, especially during the Hajj season, the airport will be bursting with Hujjaj, Hajjis who are arriving from all over the world, non-stop. You will be delayed, kept at the airport for a long time. In our case, we were there for more than 20 hours. People were sleeping on the floor, people were just walking around, and now this is your first test of your sabr. Don't quarrel with your tour operators. It is not within their power to take you out to the airport, get you on the coach and take you to Makkah Mukarramah down the road. They can't do that. They are not allowed, no one is allowed to leave the airport. We were there for 20 plus hours, 20 something hours there. Most people, alhamdulillah, had sabr. Everyone had sabr. Sabr is easy to do then because you've just started fresh, right? You're still fresh. But then later on, as you progress into deep waters of your Hajj, then sabr becomes harder and harder. But bear in mind and prepare yourself mentally for a very long delay, and quite a rough delay, uncomfortable delay. It's not like Heathrow Airport, at Jeddah Airport. And always throughout your Hajj, bear in mind, say to yourself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has looked at me with His mercy, with the sight of His mercy. Therefore He has selected me for this, to come to His house, His sacred house, to come to Mina, to come to Arafat, to Muzdalifah, and to visit His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to stand in front of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, right in front of him just by a few meters. Allah has loved me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to wash all my sins off, and this is part of the process of washing, cleansing of my sins, that I'm going to suffer this very little hardship. It's nothing at all. Believe me, it's nothing at all. All the hardships that I have mentioned to you, or you would have heard about throughout your Hajj, is absolutely nothing. You arrive in Makkah, you don't have to go for your Umrah straight away. If you want to, you can. For single people, youngsters, you can just go and do your Umrah if you wanted to straight away. If you wanted to, or take some rest, go to sleep, eat, relax. Now you go to the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the sacred masjid of Makkah Mukarramah. When you enter the masjid, you will enter in the sunnah manner, which is Bismillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah, and you step in with your right foot first. Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatik. You enter with your right foot. As soon as you enter the masjid, like in any other masjid of the world, as soon as you've entered the masjid, you will make the intention of i'tikaf, nafal i'tikaf. Then inshallah you will get an extra. You're performing an extra form of ibadah for as long as you remain in the masjid. When you see the Kaaba, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you should say 3 times, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. As you're entering the masjid, as you're going from your hotel to Al-Masjid Al-Haram, you should prepare yourself mentally, in your mind, where am I going? I am about to go to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am about to see with my naked eyes, not the pictures and images on a screen on paper, but actually see the real house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to which the prophets came, which was built by Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Ismail alayhim as-salam, and to which our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had clung. And the Prophet ﷺ had so much love for the Sahaba, the Awliya, the Ulama, the Aimma, Imam, every one of the Muslim Ummah in the history, 1400 years of history of Islam and before Islam. All the pious and close servants of Allah Ta'ala came to this house. They frequented this house, and so many Prophets ﷺ are also buried, according to tradition, in the vicinity of the house of Allah Ta'ala, around there. So I'm going to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prepare yourself for this and keep thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that despite me being so unworthy, napak, gunagar, sinner, sinful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown mercy to me, extreme mercy to me, compassion at me, that He is now bringing me to His house, and I'm about to see the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prepare yourself mentally for this. As soon as you see the house, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house, as soon as your eyes fall on the house of Allah Ta'ala, then you say 3 times, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, 3 times. And then, this is a very precious moment when dua is accepted. Engage in dua. You should engage in dua. And if you are with companions or with your family members, so if there are more than one of you, several of you have entered the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, then you should plan beforehand that now we're all about to go to the house of Allah. This is the procedure, this is what we'll be doing, and we're going to do dua. Try and spend a long time doing dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pray for yourself, do dua for yourself, for your family members, your wife, your husband, your children, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your relatives, and the Muslim Ummah at large. Okay? Do plenty of dua then. This is a time when dua is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The kayfiyat, the emotions that you will feel at that time, as soon as your eyes fall on the house of Allah ta'ala, is something that you will not experience thereafter. This is why make the most of it. Okay? And if you're doing your first Hajj, then this is the main Hajj of your life. Make sure you make the most of this Hajj. You engage in dua. Say to the others beforehand that we will all engage in dua. Whoever finishes their dua first, don't disturb the others. Just move back, sit at the back, and just sit there and wait patiently, or just engage in dua at sitting and ask Allah Ta'ala, oh Allah, whatever my companion, my husband, my wife, my mom, my dad, or brother, or sister, or friend is doing dua to you, oh Allah, also grant me the same. Just sit there and keep saying that to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. But don't disturb them, don't start tugging them, pulling them, or saying, hurry up. No, that's bad. Just sit there patiently. Obviously, a woman in a state of haid is not allowed to enter any masjid at all. A woman who is in a state of menstruation, haid, is not allowed to enter any house in a state of napaki. Okay, so she will not be able to go into the masjid. If she wants, she can come to the door of any doors of Al-Masjid Al-Haram, from where she can see the house of Allah Ta'ala, and she can do the same while staying outside the door of the masjid. There are certain doors, many doors, from where you can see the house in the center of the masjid. That is possible. She can do that. Now you've entered, when you have entered the Al-Masjid Al-Haram and you want to perform your Umrah, the first thing that you will do is that you have to do the tawaf of the house of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Tawaf, as I've said at the beginning, is a fard part of your Umrah. It's farz in your Umrah, without which your Umrah is incomplete. There are 4 things that you need to do in your Umrah. Umrah is very straightforward. You just need to do these 4 things and your Umrah is complete. You need to do Ihram. You need to be in a state of Ihram with the intention of Umrah. Tawaf of the house of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, beginning from Al-Hajar Al-Aswad, the black stone, and then going round 7 times round the house of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and ending the 7th circuit, chakkar, at the black stone, Al-Hajar Al-Aswad, Tawaf. After which we will also pray 2 rakat of Salat of Tawaf, behind Maqam Ibrahim. The third thing that you need to do is you need to do sa'i between Safa and Marwa 7 times. Beginning from Safa, going to Marwa, Marwa to Safa, you do this 7 times, and the 7th will end at Marwa, Mount Marwa. You begin at Safa, you end at Marwa. Inshallah, we'll go in detail, look at this in detail tomorrow, inshallah. And the 4th thing that you need to do is you either shave your head in the case of men, or you cut your hair in the case of both men and women. If you shave your head, then the Prophet ﷺ made dua for the muhalliqeen, those who shave their head 3 times. And he made dua for those who do taqsir, or who trim their hair, in the case of men, obviously, just 1 time, once. It is best for you to shave your head. Don't worry about your hairstyle. Just shave your head. If your hair is long, more than 1 inch long, and you prefer not to shave your hair, then you should trim your hair, and in trimming, your hair must be trimmed at least 1 inch. It must be shortened at least 1 inch. And that also applies to women. Women will cut the hair from the end of their plait, from the back at the end of their hair, and they must make sure that 1 inch of the hair is cut. Okay? They'll grab all the hair at the back, and they will cut the hair from the end by 1 inch. But they must make sure that the majority of the hair is cut. Okay? For men, you should just, either if you want to cut your hair, then make sure you cut your hair by 1 inch. If your hair is already less than 1 inch long, then you don't have that option. You have to shave your head. And why not shave? You have gone for Hajj. Don't worry about your hairstyle or your trend. Just shave your head. Okay? After which you've exited your ihram, and now your umrah is complete. You become halal.